Hello friends! I've received several requests asking if I could make a tutorial about creating a violin loop, and that's exactly what I'd like to do here. I want to show you how to build or compose a simple loop using an example, what equipment I use, and how I set up my loop station RC-600 for this purpose. First of all, let's hear the loop. It's an easy one that I play sometimes at a rock show as an intro to another song. And it's a good example of which layer has which task and how to create a small form by taking channels out and bringing them back in. Let's get started. That's it. Now let's have a look at what I did. As a microphone, today I use the DPR 4099, but you can also use others or your pickup. First of all, we need a loop station, ideally one that allows us to use 3 separate channels. For example, the Boss RC-300 has this feature, and I am currently using the Boss RC-600. You can find the link below, but it requires a bit of a setup, and we'll look at that quickly. If you're using another loop station or already have your RC600 set up, you can skip this part, of course. The RC600 offers a lot of more possibilities than the 300 and other models. You probably know that you can customize every one of its 9 buttons. Wow. But for our loop, we'll create a very simple setup that basically works the same way the RC300 did without changing much. We want it set up so that when we press a button on a channel, it starts recording on the first press. The loop length is defined with the second press, and it continues recording automatically. Only when we press stop or rec again will the recording end. Any further presses after that should just trigger playback for this purpose. Now, that's the setting we need. I'll show you quickly how to configure it, because the RC600 comes with a slightly different default setup, I think, but we'll take care of that in no time. To check or customize our channels, we go to Menu, Page Right, Function, Mode 1. There we have all the 9 pedals. By default, I think the pedals are set like this. Push is rec play, hold, undo, and play. And this setting we need for the pedals 1, 3, and 5, which are already labeled rec play. For the pedals 2, 4 and 6, which is labeled stop, we need push, stop, hold, clear. Now we have our 3 separate channels. What I definitely do for a better sounding result also is panning the 3 channels a little bit. And to do that, we go to loop, track, use the knob to choose track 1, push the knob, and in the 3rd position it says pan. Set the panorama to, for example, 25 left. Press exit, choose track 2, leave the panorama in the center. Press exit, choose track 3, change pan to 25 right. Then save everything by pressing exit and enter together. Choose right, press enter. That's it. And we need a bass. Next, we need a bass function for our loop. You can use an external effects unit. I'm using, for example, the Electro Harmonics POG2, or you can activate the internal bass effect. I customized pedal 8 like this for my bass. Menu, page right, push the left knob once more, page right, choose pedal 8. With the left knob, scroll to FX on off. To check or choose the effect, hold pedal 7, where it says FX hold. On the display with the page left or right buttons, choose input FXI. You can now see which effect is active. We need guitar to bass. You can change it here if another one is active. And the last thing I like to do is a little bit of kind of mixing, because I want the input sound, my violin live, to be a bit louder than a general loop output, so a solo stands out over the recording. To do that, we go to menu, mixer, mic in 1 or wherever you plugged in. Adjust it the way you like. Now, once that's set, we are ready to take a look at the loop. The key challenge in looping, of course, is how to create something interesting within these limitations. Something fun to play, not too simple, and ideally with some variation, while still being easy to execute live. So here's how I build, for example, this one. Layer 1 is definitely a rhythmic bass, a chopping pattern in this case, which defines the form and the foundation of the loop, because we are not working with the click track by ear. It also defines the length and the rhythmic structure, so it's the most sensitive one. Practicing this first press is key. We are doing this only by ear, as I said, without a drum machine, no? So then we have the second layer, which be like middle voices. They support the harmony and add atmosphere. And in this case, we have 3 middle voices in total. And layer 3, I like to take a melody or a theme, also in 2 parts. And I've chosen a forky, forward moving melody. And layer 4 would be the bass. In this case, sustained note. It could be rhythmical, but I think in this case it works as sustained notes. Better to keep it together. So that's all we need for now. But now is the question. We have the composition, and now it comes to the art of creating it live. And this really is also key to good looping. We want to create a performance structure where we don't have to listen to loops repeat endlessly while waiting to add the next layer. It needs to build up quickly and effectively. That means we have to organize our button presses carefully, so there are no unnecessary passes where nothing happens. I start with the first layer. You can listen to it again. And this is the most important, as I said, because it sets the timing and determines whether the loop will run rhythmically. I directly add one of the middle voices to avoid wasting time. Next, on a different channel, so I can later turn each one can turn it on or off for variation, I add another middle voice, 2 other middle voices. This goes on channel 3 on the right side. We already panned the channels so they can be heard clearly. Right after that, without taking a break, I go to channel 1 and record the first upper voice. Then immediately add the second melodic voice, also on channel 1. To keep things moving, I now record the bass, also on channel 1. So we have a cohesive piece and a smooth build-up. Now we listen to it and can rest a little bit. Now I stop channel 1 and 3 at the same time and let only the middle channel, channel 2, play. This gives us a thinner texture and some contrast. Over that, I play a solo. After a while, I turn channel 3 back on to make the solo accompaniment fuller and more intense. After 2 rounds, I use the master stop-start switch to pause everything completely in time for a short time. When I turn it back on, all channels come in at once for a big effect like this. From here I just play freely over it because it's already quite full. Then as a variation I mute the middle channel, the rhythmical, so we just hear the sustained layers one more time. Finally I turn off the entire loop station using the main button, and that's it. It's interesting how to build something like this so it still works as a real musical piece. Often loops can become quite boring, for example if the intro loops take too long or if everything becomes too predictable. For me this one is like a nice example of a simple pop style loop, one that's effective, not too long, and has enough variety to stay interesting. Please comment if you found this video helpful or if you have any questions. If you're interested in learning the chopping technique for the rhythmical part, check out my course on Udemy, and maybe I'll also create one course on the various loops I've made so far. That's all. See you soon.